right, let's work on a second problem now from the practice exercises for Chapter 7, Section D. I am told that I need to write down a truth table for this complex statement. If Q then R, or not R. All right, so either the conditional is true or the negation is true, so I'm being told. I have two simple statements here, Q and R, right? That's a repeat there of the R. So I need 2 to the second power of rows. That's 4 rows. So my truth table will have Q. Sorry, that's not a very good Q, but you get the idea. So Q, then R. And again, my complex statement is if Q, then R, or not R. I need 4 rows, so I need true, true, false, false. I explained how to do that in the last video. True, true, false, false, and then true, false, true, false. If you fill out the columns, and you won't have to in the interactive exercises, but if you fill out the columns with this pattern, you're guaranteed to get all the possible combinations of truth values for the simple statements. And again, I like to draw a line just to separate off the left side and the right side. Okay, so now where do we start? Well, I'm going to go ahead, and again, you won't have to do this with the interactive exercises, but I'm going to go ahead and fill in the truth values under the simple statements. And the columns under the R will both be the same because they have the same truth values, both are R. And now I just need to decide where to start. In this case, it doesn't particularly matter much. I could, if I wanted to, go ahead and fill out the values in the parentheses here, or I could start with the tilde. What I will do, though, is I will simply say, I will go ahead and start with the, let's go ahead and do the parentheses first. You'll see why it doesn't really matter in 1 second. But remember the rules for a conditional. If you see that the antecedent is false, then the conditional is true. So the conditional is true here. And if the antecedent is true, then you need to check and see if the consequent is also true. Here the consequent is just R, so I see true and true, so that's true. And I see true and false, so the conditional is false there. Right? Now moving outside the parentheses, I see a choice between the disjunction and the negation. And again, the rule is you always go with negation. When you're choosing between two operators, that is, you always go with the negation. So remember, it'll have the opposite truth values of what you see under R, so it'll be F, T, F, T. Okay, and now I need to do the truth values for the disjunction. Remember, the disjunction is comparing this whole thing right here and this whole thing right here, is disjoining them. So I need to check and see. You can sort of think of this as the main operator, if you like, within the parentheses. It's not the main operator for the whole complex statement, but it's the main operator within the parentheses. Likewise, you can sort of think of this as the main operator with this part of the disjunction. Again, it's not the main operator of the whole complex statement, but it's the relevant thing for this side of the disjunction, right? So remember, disjunction is true whenever either disjunct is true. So if this conditional is true, this is true. Likewise, if this negation is true, this is true. So the conditional is true here, so true. The conditional is false here, but the negation is true, so true. The conditional is true here, so true. And the conditional is true here, so true. And that's my main operator. I'm going to again circle the main operator. You will simply check on the disjunction there on the little wedge, right, to show that it's the main operator in the interactive exercises, but I just circle it. And it's interesting to note that this statement is always true. This complex statement is always true no matter what. We'll talk more about that in later sections, but it's just worth pointing out here. Okay, so that is the complete truth table for the second exercise in the Chapter 7, Section D practice set.